transport sector, many people depend on border borders. But even then, as they depend on those border borders, there are serious safety issues. And there are serious violations that are committed by border sector all over, including their pillion passengers. For example, in Kenya, it's almost impossible to force someone to wear an helmet. Yet it's you know, it is known that any accident involving border, when you fall on your head, and many people die. The cost of accidents in the country to the public health is humongous. In fact, when people say that, oh, you know, why is this minister being tough on regulation? I wish they knew the cost. The public health system is completely affected. Now, most of the people who get accidents in border are young. So they lose their lives. They're pillion passengers. They are carrying more than 2-3 people, you know? So if we want to reduce the numbers, there are nearly 1,000, almost 2,000 people that die every year directly attributed to border. So, and then many injuries. You go to many hospitals, there is a border wing. So it's important that we all embrace regulation. We all embrace order. We all embrace safety. And it should not be that it is government versus the border or government versus the citizens. It should actually, it is in the best interest of the owners of these borders for their own safety and to save costs that come with accidents, that they get regulated. Number two is that now that has moved to become a security danger. Some criminals now are taking advantage of the existence of borders and the flexibility of movement using border to actually carry out criminal activities and hide in using these small routes inside the community or villages or towns or sometimes informal settlements. So why do we need to regulate? We need to regulate, and how do you do so? I still insist that we need to implement circles being established for all the border, and this can be done by county government with the support of national government in terms of policy. Number two, we need to regulate the operating areas. The border circles need to share where they will operate. In a city like this, one circle, one corner, another circle, another corner, so that they can be able to share the benefits that come with it. Remember, this is a multi-billion economic sector, so employing so many people. But if it is not properly organized, it becomes haphazard. And that is in line with also bottom-up economic transformation agenda. It was our plan in 2022 that border sector must continue being supported. And the president has done a lot. He has negotiated for electric motorcycles that are selling 95,000. He has been able to push for access to affordable loans through the why am I forgetting? Through the mobile loans that ASLA Fund is providing to small businesses and medium businesses. And so it is important for us to regulate this sector, and I call upon all the stakeholders to work together with Ministry of Transport, because the process is ongoing now with NTSA and Ministry of Transport. In fact, there's a workshop ongoing in Mombasa on that particular subject. And from the security sector, we are supporting them to enforce. And I hope that we reach a stage where it will be the pillion passengers themselves who demand better services from the border sector. We want to be carried in a dignified manner, in a safe manner, so that then all of us can be to regulate. From a security perspective, the few instances of criminality is that some, like Kisii, for example, where our friend comes from, Brian, is it Brian? Yes. There was a terrible incident on 1st of September where there was a fight over control of border by politicians and whether or not they should wear a particular uniform that is linked to certain political places. There was also somewhere a corner in Kisii town where a small gang of these borders were picking people who, if you disagree with them, you go there and you are tortured. In this town, there are some of the gangs that are operating in this city, and even neighboring county of Siaya, and also in Kakamega, even Vihiga, have been known to be using to organize themselves around border sector, including some of them in Vihiga. They're calling themselves defenders of I don't know, something. So this is the thing. This is a big conversation. When we go back to Nairobi after Jukwaa la Usalamas in all the counties, we will be making our also recommendations, policy recommendations based on the responses from the people on why it is important to regulate the border sector. As a quick measure, I have asked all the sub-county security teams to incorporate the leadership of this border sector to their conversations in the sub-county security team so that they can help them in intelligence gathering and self-regulation and support the security sector in making sure that we do not have border sector being used for criminal purposes, and particularly when we are going for elections. That issue is live to us, and for cases where we have criminals, we continue doing crackdown to make sure that they are apprehended and they're brought before courts of law. Thank you.
And that makes you confident that by the time Jukwaa la Usalama, as it continues, this issue of criminals taking advantage of this mode of transport will be reduced?
Well, yes, exactly. I mean, as I said, it's not a quick fix.
Sure.
Because the sector is so disorganized across the country. We are a big country. It takes a lot of effort. Sometimes when you tell county government to do something, if a governor is running for second term, doesn't want to antagonize anybody, it's just, So it's not very easy to turn it. But, as they say, a journey of 1,000 miles must start with one step. So we must take the relevant step for regulation. And the process that is ongoing within the Ministry of Transport with our input, I think will give us a roadmap on where we want to go.
We'll take one more question from the panel, and then we'll also give a chance to the audience also to, if at all they have a follow-up question on the point that you have addressed, then we can also have that happen. So from the panel, if you have a question, throw it to the Waziri.
Waziri, my concern is about the border sub-county of Borabu in Nyamira County. Borabu sub-county neighbors Bometi County. And for a very long time, or for a period of like 1 year, cattle theft that had ended or reduced has started resurfacing again. You get that some of the cattle that are stolen from Borabu disappear to the neighboring county of Bomet, to a forest known as Kipsenge Forest. Maybe I may want to know some of the efforts the ministry is taking to curb the return of cattle theft. Another thing, there is the concern of there is a police and asked to camp, the anti-stock theft unit camp at Memisi. The locals have always appealed to the authorities to ensure that the camp is staffed. Currently, it is understaffed, and the logistics of the police officers is a bit low in that they even don't have a vehicle that for their logistics. And that issue of understaffing, is the ministry considering ensuring that the camp is fully staffed and the logistics are in place? That's my concern.
Thank you very much, Hillary. First of all, on the question of cattle theft, it's not a problem that is confined to Nyamira alone. Let me tell you, there is a general complaint about theft of livestock, and not at the level of what we call cattle rustling in other places. This thing of stealing 2 cows, some are even stolen and put in pro box. Now, this is a very rampant problem across the country, and the police have been told what to do. In Machakos, cows are stolen and put in pro box and brought to town for slaughtering. In the big problem in here in between Siaya and Mumias in Kakamega County, especially Butere, there's a lot of stealing of cows, and then brought to Siaya, and the ones that are stolen to Siaya is taken to the other side. The same problem with Nandi and Kisumu, both ways, Kisumu and Kericho. So it's not confined to only Bomet and Nyamira. It looks like in Nyamira and Borabu, it looks like what happens is the criminals have known that because of the jurisdiction of the police, when you steal from next county and move it to the next, by the time the police headquarters, which is a bit far from the border, is a response is made, you have already escaped with the livestock. Then what they do, they go and slaughter, and sometimes veterinarians come and certify, and they are sold in butcheries. Now, there is ongoing operation in all the areas we've gone. I'm sure tomorrow that issue will come up during Jukwaa la Usalama tomorrow in Nyamira. But it's important to strengthen the like you've asked, the camp in it's called Memisi. Yeah, if you can strengthen the camp there. At the moment, we are, by tomorrow, the country will know, tomorrow or latest Monday, the country will know when we shall go for recruitment. Then once we do the recruitment, we'll improve our strength. Meanwhile, I will ask the IG to deploy more officers to that particular camp for now to get strength from different places to support. The question of vehicles is a national problem. Across the country, there is most of our vehicles that we leased 2014 or thereabout have become obsolete. So now there is a really genuine need for vehicles to support our police officers. And the procurement process is ongoing with a target of 3,000 police cars. So we will ask our officers to share the resources they have at the moment and help support each other, but eventually we are going to resolve that gap. If someone had you or watched you on online in Mombasa or in Northeastern or in Rift Valley or Western, they will just think that you are speaking about their locality because this issue is national in nature, the issue of the vehicles. Thank you.
Thank you, Waziri. Maybe if I take you back a little bit to the issue of border sector. During your Jukwaa la Usalama engagement of the Muslim region, you mentioned that rather you are elated issues dealing with local politicians hijacking the whole sector and misusing these gentlemen who work in that sector. Maybe we wish to understand up to now, how far are we with the investigation, considering the fact that so far there is the rate at which the insecurity is being experienced at Kisi is high. Another thing, we have experienced the issue of the war to credit and everything, and such stuff. How about it so far? Considering the fact that Kenyans are crying about the credits.
The second part is credit.
The war to credits, the complaints all over the border, the theft,
Okay.
the whole syndicate, the whole scandal around the war to credit.
I may not be very aware of the second question, but the first one, so a number of people have been arrested, taken to court. Some have been released on bail. The police have expressed their displeasure at the manner in which some of these cases are handled by the judiciary, particularly when the DPP is asking for more time for investigations or DCI, and then they are denied, and then they are released, and then these people go back to acts of criminality. I've always said that judges and magistrates do not operate in vacuum. That's why in law school, the first thing you get taught at early stage is something called judicial notice. There are some things that the judge do not need to get further evidence. He must take judicial notice of what is prevailing in the society. And he must notice that the judges must notice what's happening in the environment. So I think we need the support of the judiciary to make sure that we hand over these people to prisons for reformation. And sometimes, if it takes ensuring that some of these people will be held without an option of bail, it will be very useful, at least even for some time, to enable the security people to complete the investigations, and so that then they can know that involving yourself in that act of criminality is a serious issue. There's a way these gangs issue, because the problem is not border itself. And I don't want people to see and say, if you are border, you're a criminal. No. It is the gangs operating under border. Otherwise, border on its own, many other people are in border business independent of criminal activities. But there are these gangs that are now using border and goons that are being used for political reasons, for political purposes. And this is a threat to national security, and our police officers are working hard. The National Police Service has also, the IG has deployed more officers. He's working on deploying even further to support these kind of operations in areas where we have higher numbers of goons operating. But if leaders, the two things that I think can work, if community is so angry with this behavior of goons, they can make a difference. And this is how they make the difference. They either force their leaders to forfeit issue of goons, or actually they punish the leaders by carrying goons around. If it becomes less beneficiary to anyone to have goons, if being seen with goons and gangs leads to losing votes, then everybody will run away from it. We must make it less fashionable to have goons and gangs. But at the moment, for as long as everybody is being praised that akona maboys, akona mabouncer, huyo mtu akona watu wanamfuata wengi, hii shida yenye tuko nayo haitakwisha. Na lazima tuketi chini kama viongozi na wananchi tukubaliane kwamba lazima tupambane na hii shida ya goons and gangs.
Okay, fine. Before, let us make this interactive enough. And from the panel, I think we'll go over to the audience and also pick one or two questions regarding the issues that we've spoken about. We've addressed the issue of the border subsector and also cattle theft. So from the audience, I think maybe we can also pick a question or two regarding the two subjects that we've discussed. Now, if at all, there's a mic there? Fine, this can be passed over to the others.
Good evening, Waziri. I'm called Agwanda. I'm from Hope Media, that's Hope TV and Hope Radio. Waziri, I only have 3 issues to bring to your attention. Number one, I'm just concerned. Who is in charge of the Kenya Police in Kenya? Is it the National Police Service Commission or the Inspector General? Number two, I'm also concerned about the intended recruitment of Kenya Police. Why can't it be done in conjunction with other relevant bodies, say Kenya Prison Service, Kenya Police, National Intelligence, EACC, all these? Why can't they involve? Why is this push and pull in regard to rigidity of employment of Kenya Police? What is it that has to happen which we don't need to know? Why is it that straight line? And then number 3, I'm also concerned about the deployment of your senior police officers within Nyanza region. And ukienda pale Omabei, there's a police officer, the CPC, County Commander of Police, CPC, County Police Commander. It's called Mr. Lawrence Koilin. Kisii, we have Mr. Ronald Kirui. Nyamira, though she comes from Teso, I think she comes from Teso, Amojong Agnes, though she's almost retiring, to believe. Then Kisumu, we have Toroi Teach. You go to the region, that is Nyanza region, you find the man in charge of the operation should be someone from the same tribe. Now we come to Kisumu County. The CPC The CPC, people literally work with the pangas in functions. No action was taken. Moroni, names and those, but since you find that it's some sort of, see, we are in broad-based, so we should not be hard on these people. Now, these goons, if you are not careful, it's a culture that you are not going kunini hapo mbele. Kwa sababu saa hizi wanatumika. And surprisingly, these people are called police commander's office. So the houses will be banned.
I don't know how long we have, so if one person takes that long, it depends on the moderator though.
CPC. So you can imagine the travel, it can't just end as you had said it, unless you do otherwise. Thank you.
Waziri,
I think your first concern is about officers that serve, as you said, Nyanza region, you're saying most of them come from one community and so forth. Although in the meetings that I didn't find the level of statements that you've said. Truly, the names you have mentioned are there, but you deliberately picked only Kalenjins from different formations. I'm sure because you know I'm a Kalenjin, so you wanted to put me on the spot. The point is that from across the country, the leadership of the police service is people of different cadre and from different communities. So I will not, unless there is somebody who has really a genuine formal complaint, which can go to the National Police Service. But from my interaction across the country, wherever I've gone, I have found that most of the officers have been deployed based on their rank and their capacity and their ability. And interestingly, even when we have wanted to change some officers, it is the public who are complaining to say, oh, this officer was a good guy, don't let him not leave. This one is a good guy, let him not leave. Where we have, this is the first meeting I'm getting a complaint based on tribe. In the all Jukwala Usalama across, the complaints have been based on performance. People have been saying this officer is colluding on corruption, this officer is a drunkard, this officer is unable. So I would have been very happy if you told me that we have officer X, Y, and Z in this county, in this county, in this county, and they are a cause of insecurity, and I think such can be considered. Because now if you sit here and I tell you the whole picture of the National Police Service across the country, you will be surprised that it is not what you are trying to process. And I don't want to look like I am defending anybody. Should there be allegations that you think that there is unfairness, I think it's okay to put it in writing so that the National Police Service and the commission itself can be able to deal with it. And I didn't get your name. Sorry. Huh? Agwanda. From which media house? Eh? Hope Media. Okay, thank you very much. So from Hope Media, I appreciate. Number two, on the question of illicit brew, I cannot disagree with you, because there are police officers who are corrupt and who actually collude with smugglers and sellers of alcohol. And in those cases, we have discussed openly. I have also found some police officers who are drunk at work. So it's not a surprise that we have those challenges. As I've said, there is no way a crime can go on in a particular division without the complacency of the police and the Ngao officers. There is always a person in charge of security environment who is sleeping on the job. And for that reason, therefore, every time we find those disciplinary cases, we handle them for what it is. On the question of police deployment officers for Kisumu, you had asked something about, who is in charge of National Police Service. It depends on, in the Constitution, Article 245 spells out various responsibilities. Are you asking, are you in charge of command? Are you in charge of discipline? Are you in charge of recruitment and promotion and so forth? There is a shared responsibility. There is no clear, or it is not necessary to have dichotomy between the commission and the police NPS. It is not necessary, because the commission is composed of 5 police officers, 2 retired and 3 serving. The IG and the 2 deputies are members of the National Police Service Commission. And so the ones who are civilians are lesser the ones who have a link with the police. So the commission is a police commission. Actually, the Kenya Police Service, their commission, that is their commission. That's why they sit there themselves, the leadership at the top level. In fact, many people have just said, had we interrogated the constitution process well, we should have made the IG the chair of the commission, and that could have been complete. Because also, just imagine the Judicial Service Commission, where the chair is different and the Chief Justice is different. Because the Chief Justice is the chair of Judicial Service Commission, many things are seamless. And many people think that the chair of the National Police Service should have been the IG himself. But even then, the IG sits there, the 2 deputy IGs and former two retired police officers who are male and female. So the composition itself is police heavy, and there is no reason why there should be a fight. Usually when you have a fight, it's just territorial issues that are unnecessary, and they are easily resolved. Remember that this is an area of command and control. So eventually the commander-in-chief has a responsibility to align everybody, notwithstanding whether it's a commission or whatever, in terms of security focus, to align everybody to national interest. And that's what we try to do. If everybody was to hang on the law or the constitution or this way, work will not be done. In fact, part of the reason why we had big problem in the first term of President Uhuru Kenyatta on security sector was everybody was trying to pull their side. KDF is saying we are KDF, we are independent. NIS is saying we are NIS, we are independent. Police is saying we are police, we are independent. That never helps. The only most important thing in the security sector is the results. And the results are better achieved through a multi-agency approach, and everybody putting aside their ego and ensuring that looking for the better ways of working together. The question of I'll answer illicit brew another. Thank you. I think there was an issue about goons, and I have answered already that the general issue of goons is an issue that has been dealt with. I thought this is a more orderly conversation, Bwana Hope FM. You know, I thought
yes,
because if you don't have the mic and you keep shouting across each other, it defeats the purpose of having a moderator.
Fine.
Thank you.
Yeah, because before we come back to the panel, one more question from the audience, and then we come back. Inshallah.
yes.
Were you hearing before? Actually, as it is being fixed, I think you can
Maybe
just, yes.
I can respond to the first question and then we take the second. The first one for the CDF, I am NGCDF, I am, it's a debate. So, and being Kenya being a democracy, I am a strong believer in decentralization of resources. And maybe because I was a senator, so I believe in decentralization, and that includes devolution. In the part of devolution, we have money going to counties and they perform devolved functions. In terms of decentralized funds using NGCDF, they perform national government functions but ring-fenced to various constituencies. I don't believe that NGCDF should be scrapped. In fact, I strongly believe that returning the money back to national government in Nairobi so that we go and struggle, all of us, to get that money for basics like education and security is retrogressing, not progressive. And for me, the fact that national government has ring-fenced that money to come and take care of school education and security issues is a perfect way of ensuring that there is equity across the country. There are concerns sometimes that the members of parliament play a key role. But where we've come from for the last 10 years, there has been a greater divorce on the role, direct role of the member of parliament in the appropriation of this money. And even where member of parliament, in a number of cases where member of parliament have attempted to defraud the public using NGCDF, the consequences have been dire for some of the members of parliament. In fact, some of them have lost their seat. Most of them lose their seats by meddling or interfering with the allocations by citizens within NGCDF. So with greater citizen awareness, there is no fund. I can state this without fear of contradiction. There is no fund in Kenya that is administered more independently than NGCDF. It's only in few cases that you can see misappropriation outrightly. But in most cases, the citizens are so woke, they follow their resources. Now, the only problem I have with NGCDF at the moment is that from our perspective, we are trying to push for also in NGCDF itself a specific allocation for security infrastructure. Because as we speak, most chiefs are operating under tree, most police stations are in deplorable stage, some of them are even post-colonial, pre-colonial, sorry, and therefore, the best way to resolve, and as a Minister of Interior, we will be making our contribution to the future of NGCDF, and our main contribution will be to say we want NGCDF to have a definite amount of money set aside for security and security infrastructure. If we do so, there is no reason why chiefs, the way they come to Jukwaa meetings, and assistant chiefs should come and spend a lot of time talking about infrastructure, offices, furniture, maintenance of police station, construction of police station. That should be a thing of the past once we agree on what exact percentage should go to security out of these funds. See what NGCDF has done in education, massive. massive. Just imagine if we always had to go to Nairobi through budgeting process to get money for your constituency. If you reach Bunge there, you are lucky. Sometimes some constituents get more money than others. But this one has a factor of equality, actually, not even equity, equality, so that at the constituency level now you can distribute equitably to serve your constituency.
The second question was on the standoff between members of the public and police officers, which of course has resulted in some police stations being run over by red members of the public. The question is that how many police stations have actually been run over by members of the public in the recent past? And then two, as the man at the helm of that, is very concerned, especially as we head towards the general poll, that some of these things might actually morph into bigger concern than what is actually being witnessed now.
I don't think it's right to say that members of public are running over their police stations. No. And so the answer is none. Yeah, because I understand members of public to be law-abiding citizens. But we have had cases where criminals have invaded police stations. Thugs, criminals, terrorists have burned police stations in Kikuyu, in Olkalau. One was in Homa Bay, a police post. All those have happened around acts of criminality, really perpetuated by thugs, some of whom are facing serious charges of terrorism in court. And they didn't just ban police stations, they banned people's business, they banned the courts in the country. So my take is that we have done well to arrest and charge these people. I think bringing them to justice is one way of deterring continuous occurrence of the same. And should anyone attempt again, even towards election time, we will be firm to make sure that we protect the nation without favoritism. If we don't become firm, we will not have a country to protect. Thank you.
All right. This is an interactive session, and there's also there is Kenyans following this conversation online. And before I come back to the panel, there is a question from a follower. Kenyan watching online, and is asking. I will not paraphrase. I will ask this directly. Kindly ask Waziri to address the issue of too many roadblocks along Kisumu Homa Bay Highway, and also the issue of police officers overstaying at their working stations. You can address that.
Police roadblocks are established based on security concerns, but some of the roadblocks have been assessed to be superfluous and to be avenues for corruption. And so where citizens have made proposals that those roadblocks, we must be able to get rid of those roadblocks, the National Police Service, where they petitioned the IG has always caused a review to establish whether there was a security concern for establishing those roadblocks. And so depending on I have no details as to the distance between the two roadblocks and the purpose that they serve. And should it be that those roadblocks serve no purpose or don't serve the intended purpose, I think with a proper petition to the IG, that should be able to be reviewed. And since the person has asked that question, I think we can escalate it to the IG's office to look at the viability and the purpose of those roadblocks.
The second question from that Kenyan following is the issue of police officers staying at their working station.
There's overstaying police officers. We have said that at the end of this Jukwaa la Usalama process, the IG and the commission sitting together, we will all agree and come up with a clear policy as to what is the maximum period a police officer can stay in a particular station. But also there must be a minimum. We can't give transferring people after 3 months, 2 months, 3 months, 2 months. It will be unfortunate if we were to do so.
Okay. Now let us come back to the panel, and I would request that we keep our questions short so that we can also save on time.
Maybe if I take you back on the issue of gangs, we are seeing the reemergence of gangs, like you said earlier. We have there's Mbogi, there's China Squad, also border linked CBOs. Here in Kisumu, we have seen the city manager talking of how these gangs are interfering with the operations or even the development and planning of the city. These people are believed to be backed by powerful individuals. Maybe what is the ministry doing towards ensuring that they deal once and for all with these people? And my other question will be, previously we have seen a special unit being created to deal with such, with issues to do with insecurities. Maybe is the ministry considering maybe reviving or creating such units to deal with insecurity?
Thank you very much, Filda. Yeah, Fila. Yeah, okay.
Filda.
Okay. Filda. Okay, okay. You know, this region, they have very good names, very interesting names, very creative. Let me just say that gangs issue, the way I have understood, especially in the Nyanza and Western region, the gangs issue, the way I've understood, is actually a problem that can easily be done away with if leaders agree. If leaders in the first place agree, forget about the police. The police can use a lot of energy and so forth. But if the leaders agree, the gang issue is something that can be dealt with. So partly, I think that when we finish this Jukwa, we must call for an honesty conversation and a meeting with the leaders and ask, what do you want to, what kind of Kisumu do you want? And we have to agree, all of us, and say, yes, these young people are jobless, but we can engage them differently, even as our supporters. We can still engage them as our supporters, even working with us, but peacefully, not carrying knives and machetes and rungus and all those kind of things. So I have no doubt in my mind that there is room for us to resolve this issue through leadership. But since some leaders may not cooperate anyway, because it may not be in their interest to cooperate, they want to intimidate their opponents so that nobody can come forth to become a candidate or so forth, or have free environment. So the National Police Service have no choice but to carry out a serious crackdown on those issues. Then the IG is working on reinforcing the team that is on the ground here by sending also other members who will come and support this team. And I think that the way we say it in Western Kakamega, that applies also to Nyanza region. And I have no doubt in my mind we'll dismantle these gangs. What I just want to encourage young people is to run away from this practice. It is easier to engage in other businesses. The president is working on climate works. There are other jobs that we can all pursue. We can even organize our border sector, and it will employ more people when it's orderly, when it's neat, when it is peaceful. So I think that my encouragement to the young people is to shun these practices and organize themselves in a peaceful manner. Violence does not benefit anybody, and the government will deal with it decisively. Let me say this, I have had behind the scenes interactions with a number of elected leaders here, elected opinion leaders in the region, and all of them are concerned about gangs. So in the way I have assessed their body language, I think people they are now tired. Even those who are actually having some, they are only having them because of fear. Even them, they are prisoners of the same gangs. So they wish that someone can salvage them from this issue of being gangs. And I think that can be definitely be sorted. Yeah. The second question was on. Yes. No, I just said it is no need for the DCI the DCI as it is can do that job, but with reinforcement in terms of human resource from other parts. The DCI should be able to support from national level, the IG should be able to reinforce the team that is on the ground here to deal with the magnitude of that issue. There is no need to establish a unit for gangs. It is enough. The police, it's not that bad that the police cannot handle. They can handle. It's just that the numbers, the strength that we have in various counties now is low. We can do better in terms of greater deployment. Thank you.
Yeah, Waziri, I have two quick questions. One is touching on your persona in a way. I hope you'll understand. There have been some sentiments or remarks from you. Some have criticized. I'll give an example of the shoot to kill. The other day, I think you talked about fuel not being residents or members of the public asking for fuel from police officers not being a major issue or an issue of you maybe delaying in giving out the monthly fuel allowance. Some of these statements, some are legal landmines. Some can also be interpreted or the impact interpreted in a different way by the police officers and also just members of the public. Is this something that sometimes you say and regret, or the impact? Do you maybe look at the impact before they come out? Secondly, there's a concern about government officers, especially the CSs, engaging in politics. It's a thin line between selling government policies or saying what Kenya Kwanza or President Ruto's administration has done and campaigning at the same time. How do you balance this so that it doesn't appear like you are engaging in politics? Lastly, you talked about officers being deployed for the by-elections. I just wanted an assurance because most of the time you see some officers leaning towards some politicians or aspirants. An assurance that police will be independent or neutral in these particular scenarios. Thank you.
Those are very good questions. I don't think there's the need to worry about whether I mind it or not. Those are very, very good questions because it's the same questions that the public would like to know. And the first one is do I make a statement and regret? Never. When I regret, I apologize. I come public and say I was wrong. But when I'm a lawyer, so I have to apply my mind before I say many things. But besides also being a lawyer, I am the cabinet secretary responsible for matter security. So you cannot say security issues as an afterthought. You can't say also as guesswork. It has to be well thought out. You must have thought, you must have run through your head before saying. You can't also say it out of anger or excitement. You must have thought about it. So the shoot to kill, for example, is a legal profession. I just read the law. And it remains. I can repeat it 1,000 times. I take 100% legal responsibility. In fact, to show that I was serious, I ended up going to put it in writing as a policy direction to the IG. That when the police officer's lives is in danger, or the life of another citizen is in danger, the police officers have a right to use their firearm. It's just the same thing that the president talked about, you shoot legs or something like that. It is not that it came from the head of the president. It is in the law itself. It says that when a police officer sees that there is an attack, they should be able to use their firearm, and the first option is not to shoot to kill. The first option is to apprehend, to enable you to apprehend. In fact, it says after you shoot that person, you must be able to quickly take them for medical treatment and inform IPOA that that has happened. And that's the law, you know. What I talked about, shoot, I didn't even say shoot to kill, but you people added on top of it that I said shoot to kill. I just say that the police officers have a right to use their firearm to protect themselves when their life is in danger. They may use the firearm, they may shoot the person, they may shoot up, they may apprehend that person. But that is the role of the firearm. Otherwise, if firearm was not useful to be used on criminals, especially when people are in danger, then there is no need to issue a firearm. Why would you issue a firearm? What is the purpose? You know? And then many people are taking these statements we are making because in their head, they are seeing themselves as protesters. This applies to a police officer confronting bandits. It applies to a police officer confronting terrorists. It applies to a police officer confronting robbers. So the use of force or use of firearm is not just the thinking that it's a protest, no. It is applying to any criminal that puts the life of the police officer in danger or a Kenyan in danger. It is so simple. I'm not the first person even to say it, to voice it. President Uhuru has said it many times. CS Matiang'i said it many times. Governor Natembeya said it many times. You know, all these people, you know, it's just that for political expediency, you'll see somebody when they jump the other side, they say, oh yeah, they have said this. Everybody knows that that is what's supposed to be doing. By the way, why do these people, why do all these leaders who are trying to criticize me, why are they walking around with their bodyguard who are carrying guns? So that they do what with those guns? So that when the life of the bodyguard or the person they are guarding is in danger, they use the firearm. So let's not flog a dead horse. It's a fact, it's the law. I am not just a lawyer, I was a teacher of law. So, and every time, every statement I make must be calculated to respond to issues and must be based on the law. And when I am wrong, because I'm a human being, I come public and say, I apologize, I was wrong on this issue. Yeah, and that's what to be. You know, for example, the fuel issue. Fuel, is that even rocket science? I want you to know one thing. More often than not, if not 100 times, if police officers, if you call a police officer and they tell you the vehicle I cannot release the vehicle, there is no enough fuel. That is what they mean, there is no fuel. That's it, period. There is no corruption, there is nothing. You see, when I used to hear before, I used to think that the police are talking about this because of corruption. It's not because of corruption. And I can look at Kenyans in the face and tell them there is no fuel. And that is the issue we're trying to resolve. And for you to appreciate, you need to understand why. In the leasing program that we started in 2014, it was negotiated that every motor vehicle will be given 450 liters of fuel per month. Not more, not less. So if you have your car for police station, and you had the OCS of Awasi today, direct conversation with those OCSs that were there. You must have seen when I was in Turkana, I was in Tana River, everywhere. When you allocate this fuel of 450, depending on the workload that month, say for example, you allocate 450 and there's Mandamano. Okay, what will happen? They will be running around, going up, down, there's an operation, chasing gangs, there are accidents. They go, accident scene, they come back. They're taking remandees to court, if there are court sessions. Now, as the Awasi OCS said today, the fuel can come to can get finished in 19 days. So you still have 11 days before the end of the month. But you have no way of getting fuel because the contract is negotiated based on the car, and the fuel card only works once in a month, and you'll only get 450 liters. That's why most of them are arguing that increase the fuel. You were there in the session today. One OCS said, let's move it to 750, but there is already a negotiation going on that let's move it fast to 650. So when a police officer tells you, I'm sorry, I can't act because I don't have fuel. And this is not science. As a senator and the other MPs, we have helped the police fuel their vehicles because the fuel has ended before the end of the month. The county governments, many county governments, especially in banditry-prone areas and the what we call semi-arid areas, most of the county government have very good close working relationship with the police. It's not just giving them fuel, they even buy the vehicles, fully fueled vehicles for the police in counties like Mandera, counties like Turkana, counties like Marsabit. So why are we putting this discussion in the open? So that the members of public don't take every statement of support by police officers as corruption, you know? And I see people discussing on social media there, go to my page. Listen to the police when they're speaking during the Jukwaa Usalama. And we can share clips and clips and clips of their complaint, asking us that we need to increase the fuel because they are unable to use it. Let me explain to you, my friend. Just imagine in the negotiated agreement of leasing, you give a police officer 450 liters, they're operating in Marsabit, but they collected the mafuta in Nanyuki. Okay, and that 450 liters includes the one he's coming to take the fuel and go back and go and use it for operations. How do you expect them to use for how long? When they go and do operations 2-3 times, especially when they're chasing bandits around, the fuel is over. So sometimes the IG has to get further operation resources to support. And sometimes if the budget is not in place, that becomes a challenge. And I'm glad that finally, thanks to Jukwaa Usalama, you know, these things are being put on the table. We are no longer hiding. We are no longer hiding security issues like, oh, you know, it's a secret, it's our... The Kenyan people are having a conversation on how they are running their police station. Look, have you gone to your neighborhood police station? Have you gone to your home police station? Were you happy with it? No, yeah. I went to my next ward after I became a minister. I was embarrassed. First, it's for 1970s. Second is 2 rooms. One room was taken by a chief. The next room is for OCS. The way a chief took was a cell. So they have a small tumor on the floor where they tie the suspects. So as the chief is working, the suspect is tied down here. I mean, and let me tell you, visit all the police stations, you will ask yourself, I've told you, go to Sondu police station here. Yeah? Built in 1935. It's very small, old. Next door, we have a Sondu Kenjen plan, built of over tens of billions. But nobody even did construction thought that a police station was necessary with about 10 or 20 million. So Jukwaa Usalama is getting us as citizens to think about investing in our infrastructure, security infrastructure. And if we don't put things to the fore, citizens will be suffering there, and we are hiding in some dark corner saying that, oh, you know, this is national security, which it should not be discussed. Let it be now that Jukwaa Usalama has brought things to the fore so that we can openly speak the way OCSs, chiefs, and security people are now speaking across the country. Thank you. Oh, no, sorry, you had one more question. Sorry, I became too passionate about it. Politics. No, I mean, I don't see politics as a negative thing. So when someone says you are engaging in politics, I have no problem. It's like he's praising me. Because the definition of politics is, are you saying where I was bad? It's politics that has got me here. You know? I mean, if the people of Elgeyo Marakwet did not elect me in 2013 and put me in Kenyan platform, I would not be where I am. So politics is not a negative thing. In fact, it's the hardest job in the country. Somebody should be proud to stand somewhere and say, I am a politician. You know, I am a senator, I'm a governor, and I am very proud of my 10 years as a senator, and politics is positive. I don't think, even if someone writes, I saw today in your newspaper, you had written that some ministers were involved in politics, and I was wondering, so what's the problem? Because, you know, the definition of politics is management of public affairs. So management of public affairs includes governance and leadership. You know for sure that I support the leadership of President Ruto. And even sitting here, I will tell you, please, my friend, please vote for President Ruto. He wants to transform this country, and he's already transforming this country. So as a cabinet secretary, I cannot, my first responsibility actually is to make sure that the policies of government succeed and that government is re-elected based on those policies. And that is politics. And that is good thing. And I encourage people to do politics. What we don't want is people to do bad politics or you know, things to do with violence, hurting other people, discriminating. I cannot be allowed as a cabinet secretary, for example, to go around and say, because you don't support Ruto, we will not be given security. That is not politics. That is hatred. That is negative kind of politics. That's not leadership. So I support politics. I believe in politics. I live politics every day because I am privileged given by the people of Kenya through the election of President Ruto to serve at the highest level of political decision. And every day we make political decisions on how to govern this country. And there's nothing wrong with engaging in politics. The last thing is that you're saying that officers are being misused by politicians. Yeah, those who are being misused definitely will have to carry their own cross, and disciplinary action must be taken against them. But those who support elected leaders, whether they are in opposition or government, there's no issue. Whether it's county or national, the role of the security sector is to support everybody and to make sure that there is safety. And we encourage good working relationship between citizens and the police. That's why I'm told police officers, they should sit with border people, and they should sit with student leaders and shoot with everybody, including these people who are leading these gangs. They must be able to call them and sit down and tell them, ladies and gentlemen, let's do some things differently. We cannot continue like this. Thank you.
Okay, away from gangs, politics, and the rest, my concern is around gender-based violence. And today, statistics say that the prevalence in GBV remains alarming at 32 nationwide, but Kisumu is ranking higher. For example, the recent incident that occurred yesterday about that school-going girl, a 13-year-old who was sexually abused and later killed mercilessly. Right now, as it is, you say that the IG has already deployed a special unit to investigate the case, which is okay. Now my concern is around the GBV prevalence is alarming high. So what are the specific measures your ministry will put place at least to curb this, and how will they work together with the county government on the same to reverse the trend? Question 2 on that. Earlier when you were talking to us, you threw the investment on rescue centers on the counties. So my question on that is, as the Interior Ministry developed a national survivor rescue, is not why? Another one, what measures will you people put place, at least to guarantee the safety of survivors and witnesses who oftenly face intimidation and are forced to drop their cases? Because we normally get those. Then last one, will your ministry also support mandatory training for chiefs, police officers, and local administrators to respond better to GBV cases? Because we normally find out that we have reckless chiefs and officers who, something that would have been confidential, you find that they've spread it out there, making the victim to lose face and wish for suicide. Then lastly, I'll not forget the safety of the media. We normally get attacked and brutally injured during demonstrations by the police officers, and they do that without blinking an eye. So as the Waziri of the Interior Services and National Administration, what do you have to say on that? What guarantee can you give us going forward that we will be safe during these demonstrations? Thank you.
Waziri, even as you comment on that, there's also a question my colleague here on the panel had, still touching on the GBV. Faith Mateta, I believe you had a question on GBV in regarding the stationing, the GBV desk at police stations, right? So that.
Okay, we know across the various police stations, we have the GVB desk. Maybe are the community aware, or what measures are being taken, to promote this, to tell the community that we have such kind of desk that this information can be reported?
Thank you very much, both Millicent and Faith, on the questions of GBV. Extremely important. The issue of gender-based violence and defilements specifically is a big issue in western part of the country. That is Western region and Nyanza region, and some parts of Rift Valley, especially Trans Nzoia and Bomet, and then when you go to places like Makueni, Nairobi, Machakos, and parts of coast also. So it's nearly, every part of the country. And I think, to be very honest, we need a champion. We need, champions against the sexual and gender-based violence, and especially for children. And the question is, in terms of reasons why it's prevalent, we have, I think that one, it's repugnant practices in community. Wife inheritance, things to do with this issue of, because in some cases it is stepfathers who are perpetuating these issues. In other places, things like disco matanga, because the numbers are prevalent during holidays. That means most children are safer only when they're in school. When they're out of school, their lives are in danger. By the way, it's not just about girls. In some instances also, there have been reports of sodomization of young boys. So this is a very serious issue that is prevalent because of those practices. Number two, it is also tied in some areas with drug and alcohol abuse. You know, when these children are exposed to drugs and alcohol at a younger age, or the people who take the drugs and alcohol, they take advantage of them. In some other instance, the other reason why it's very prevalent is because the families, the community, because the people who defile, especially defilement, who defile young girls are family members, step parents, fathers, in some situations, step aunties, uncles, and all that. So what happens is that, even mothers tell their daughters, huh? Why did you behave in that manner that your father did what he did to you? So the reason, and then they will start saying, I don't want you to talk about it because you will ashame your father, your uncle, you will ashame this family. So they establish a kangaroo court, and they are saying they will do alternative dispute resolution on matters of GBV, sexual and gender-based violence. And I must say that in the entire engagement that we've had, one of the things I've emphasized among the chiefs is to make sure that they take seriously reporting cases of gender-based violence. There's something I want to appreciate the judiciary. In cases where these people have been arrested, the judiciary has been taking seriously than any other offense. The judiciary has taken seriously cases of sexual and gender-based violence. And I think there is an opportunity when we punish most of these offenders, sex-based, we're able to make progress. Gender-based violence also is about spouses beating their spouses. Husbands are being beaten, especially those ones who are drunkards. They're being beaten by their wives. And then husbands are also beating their wives. So these issues also, when they're reported sometimes in police station, especially when a man is beaten, some police officer wanamwambia mwanaume mzima unapigwa. So, they demean the violence meted on these men. And in some cases also it is the lady, men are, there's a lot of, a day hardly passes. You don't hear in the country that somebody stabbed the wife, or the wife killed the children, or the husband killed the wife and the children, even within the police service, because of mental health cases and so forth. So we are working on raising awareness, because most of this is raising awareness. Enforcement, we have told our police officers, I don't want us to go that way, Faith, of gender-based, whereas it's good to have the desk for those who want confidentiality. But it is advisable that every police officer, whether inside a police station or a police post, or even at his own home when he's on leave, should take seriously the question of gender-based violence without really having to categorize that it is a matters that are only being dealt with by gender desk. Because these are high crimes. These are very serious crimes. We must take it for what it is. And today we were with leaders, and Senator Catherine Muma has been insisting to me even before here that she's among the leaders. There are a group of leaders that would like to become the champions to fight against the gender-based violence. And I welcome the support of all members of parliament, not just to look at the agenda, to make sure that we take seriously this issue. Again, the other practice that actually perpetuates this thing is this thing of early marriages. that are supported by communities, practices like FGM, and so forth. And you saw in Wajir, for example, a forced marriage of a very young girl. So all these issues, we must deal with them, we must take enforcement, but we must sensitize the public. When the consciousness of the public goes up, I think this issue will be sorted. Survivors, unfortunately, let me say this, that rescue centers are more or less linked to medical facilities, gender ministries and departments and so forth. And it works better when it's a devolved function because these medical facilities are within county. But I think also from a national level, we need to have a conversation because it is the police officers you saw, most of the OCS who are saying were the first persons to respond. And when they respond and they find someone who has been hurt, they take them to hospital. They don't know what to do with them. They'll go to hospital, we will pay the bill. And when they finish paying the bill, where are they going to live? And there was a CBO today, I forget the name, that is also doing some work here. I think that we need to make mandatory requirement for every county to have a rescue center for both victims of GBV and sexual offenses like defilement, because these people need to run away. There is a witness protection unit in the Attorney General's office. It's the Attorney General's DPP. So there is a witness protection unit that needs to be supported, and they can do some work. It's also, when we have situations where we have to protect witnesses, I think even from a DCI perspective, we can consult and understand where such witnesses can be taken, and also protection of the victims, as I've said, with rescue centers. Yes, I agree that, as Millicent is saying, that there's a lot of leakage of information. You go and, tell a police officer, such a person is a good. That person, the next, you told only one person. And then the next day, that person, the other person, the goon is, or before when you leave the police station, the goon is texting you, telling you, utaniona, So it scares many people from coming out and report crimes and also report offenses in society. I think that such cases should be followed up, should lead to disciplinary measures against those police officers. I think we need in the National Police Service to strengthen complaint mechanism so that complaints against officers who are non-responsive can be taken seriously. And again, the Office of Ombudsman also has a role to play when it comes to failure to deliver services in any place. On the question, in any government institution or a government officer. On the question of media safety, I don't think that the police go out of the way, like you're putting it to say, okay, that one is a Ramogi TV, let me just Lima, that one is The Nation, that one is whatever, Egesa, Kisi TV, and many others. Or in that case, that should be investigated individually, because then that is really malicious and premeditated. But in most cases, journalists find themselves in the crossfire. The unintended consequences of all these mandamanos and so forth. And it's our responsibility to have continuous engagement. We have an open policy. The National Police Service has an open policy to engage the media. And it's only to our benefit that we get genuine and open media coverage. Sometimes the media houses complain when it's police, but when it's goons aligned to politicians they support, they don't complain. We had a situation in Nairobi where certain political party was being loud, and then journalists were hurt by goons aligned to that political party. And the journalists never reported. If it was police, it would have been chaos. So we also want you to take violence seriously, regardless whether it's police or individual citizens. And I look forward to also a country where demonstrations will be peaceful, not the kind of violent demonstrations we see in our country that was not intended by the Constitution. Thank you.
With that, that it's over an hour since this conversation, or rather this engagement began, and it's now that time that we want to take a very short break. This engagement continues on the other side of the break, but with the permission, Waziri, before we break for that 5 minutes, this conversation is also live online, and in as much as the questions are coming, there's also feedback. And allow me to read just one or two. There is I'm not sure where they are following from, but there is Ngeno Franklin saying consultation is the way to go, and congratulating you on that. There's also Renson Waliaula Mauka. I'm not sure exactly where this Kenyan is following from, but he's also asking that much as these conversations are very key to informing the policies, that you also need to ensure that the recommendations that you get from these engagements make part of the policies, as you put it at the start of this conversation. Well, we are taking that short break. When we come back, this conversation continues. And also remember, this conversation is live, so you can always share your questions and also feedback regarding the media engagement with Waziri for the Interior, Murkomen. And before we went on that break, we were speaking about the gender-based violence as part of the many issues that Waziri is addressing here. And as we continue with this, I will come to the panel, and Chris Mahandara, you will have the mic and shoot your question to Waziri.
Thank you, Waziri, for the opportunity. The blue economy sector is a multi-billion sector, and Lake Victoria being one of the key contributors. We continue to witness a lot of harassment of our fishermen within the lake, despite Kenya having a cooperation agreement with the Republic of Uganda. So what are the bottlenecks in this agreement that have made us to remain in this situation for this long? Secondly, are there any measures to have our border with the neighboring countries clearly demarcated, so that our fishermen are not accused regularly of crossing over to the other country without knowing? Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. I don't know even why we did not, that issue was top issue in Busia, Siaya, here, Kisumu, in Kisumu, Homa Bay and Migori. So it's a very, very major issue actually. It would have been a disservice if we didn't address the question of management of resources of Lake Victoria. The challenges that we have here is that there is part of protecting the fishermen, the beach management units, the harassment of our people, but also the general exploitation of that resource, how to do it in a more sustainable manner. The regulation of the same is through our laws and the East African laws and international law, and the Ministry of Mining and Blue Economy is undertaking civic education training for the fishermen on how to have sustainable fishing. They are also being encouraged to be in cooperatives so that they can have they can be more organized. There is also a consultation between the county and national government, because there is a role for the county and there is a role for the national government. So it's a partnership. It's intergovernmental, but also, as we say, multi-sectoral conversation about resolving this issue. Now, one of the things that we must do as a country is to have the presence of law enforcement officers along our border inside the lake. That has already been done. We have a presence of our Kenya Coast Guard. We have the presence of the Border Patrol Unit. And today we made as a decision that we need to strengthen that presence. How? We need to buy more boats, patrol boats. 2, we need to hire more officers for Kenya Coast Guard. 3, we need to deploy the Border Patrol Unit in more places. So I think we have said Mangeta. Is it Mangeta? Yes, Mangeta, Ringiti, and Sori are the 3 places we will quickly deploy officers from the Border Patrol Unit to strengthen our presence. We are also procuring modern boats that will help. As you saw in the Jukwa today, the concern of the officers is that you cannot survive one boat because you need one. If it has an issue, another one can be able to rescue and they can be able to help each other. And then the vastness of the area that you are covering is extremely important. Once we have the presence of our police officers and the multi-agency team, whether it's from KDF or the police in the border there, now we think also about what are we going to do with our neighbors? And I answer you this question knowing also it applies to Lake Turkana, because I've been there to Todonyang. The same problem is there between the Ethiopian side and the Kenyan side. So the question is, once, and we are strengthening, we're doing exactly the same in Lake Turkana. So once you have done this, what is the next? The next is to think about our cooperation to our neighbors. We have a joint cooperation agreement with Uganda. We have East Africa Community that binds us together with Tanzania. So the next thing is to make sure that we are cooperating together. To start with, because a lot of these things between us and Uganda, there was a very good proposal today in the Jukwa that perhaps Uganda, it is time Uganda send a liaison officer to Kisumu, and we send a liaison officer to maybe Jinja or one of the ports in the side of Uganda, so that then when we have issues with the liaison officer from Uganda, we consult quickly. If they have issues with Kenya in the Uganda side, there is a liaison officer who consults quickly. That can facilitate our relationship. I don't think, to answer you, that demarcating the border will solve this problem. I think we generally know our border, even without clear demarcation. Demarcating the border also in Todonyang will not solve the problem. Why? Because in Lake Victoria, the fish breeding happens in Kenya, and then as they grow, they move to the side of Uganda, okay? And they don't have passport, they are not intact. So sometimes fishermen follow the fish to the other side. In Turkana, it is the opposite. Breeding happens in Ethiopian side, and the fish come towards the Kenyan side. So it becomes a cause of conflict between the communities in Ethiopia and Kenya, and also the same with Uganda and Kenya. So what is the best way? The best way is to have a shared agreement on how to manage these resources together, fish together, share together. In any case, we are one community. And how to achieve that is to make sure that there is a joint presence of our officers in the lake. So, and maybe regulate the numbers, regulate the access, and then one of the complaints of Uganda is that we are taking the fish when they're still young before they properly grow to cross to their side. So if there is that general understanding, then we can agree that we can fish together. And I think that joint agreement can make us have a peaceful coexistence with our neighbors than to have a fight with our neighbors. And thank you for raising that issue. We take this one very seriously, and you will be seeing activity in the next 2 weeks. You will see our officers in the 3 patrol bases, and you will see also the procurement very soon of the boats, and will be delivered for greater patrol in the lake. And this thing will be a thing of the past. We are really intentional in resolving this issue.
All right. Faith, you have a question?
Okay, on the issue of accidents, we've seen a shift on road accidents across the country and also in Nyanza region. And I'm just wondering, what is the ministry doing to streamline police road checks? Mark, you keeping in mind that, for example, in Nyanza region, we have various roadblocks, from point A to point B. And, members of the public are feeling that maybe some of these checkpoints are there for some specific reason instead of being there to save lives. So maybe, what is the ministry doing about this?
Actually, Faith, they think that the checkpoint is for collecting bribes. I think you should say it as it is. There's nothing to hide. Jukwa has now shown us that we just say these things as they are. The management of traffic is a combined responsibility. Yeah, as I told you, transport is about regulation, the inspection, the regulation of the drivers, the regulation of the circles. all that work is within transport, NTSA responsibility. In fact, I remember we started a process of inviting private sector to be part and parcel of inspection, car inspection, because we didn't have good car inspection centers, and then digitizing the inspection until we know who inspected the car or at what station and what was the condition and so forth. Car inspection is one of the areas that is really need to be done. Regulation of the drivers, particularly the fatigue. You know, a driver drives to Nairobi and back. You know, with fatigue, it kills. So we had said that a driver can only drive for, did we say 8 hours? And I think that was even a lot. We should have said less, because if someone, 8 hours, but with resting places, there must be break. And then we said there must be medical test, a regular medical test for drivers, because somebody maybe has high blood pressure or is diabetic, and you're telling them to drive. When their sugar levels go down, they may just find themselves causing accident. So there are all host of things, including instant finding system and using traffic road cameras that is ongoing, and the NTSA and Ministry of Transport is working on that. On our side, it's important to note that our traffic department, when they were together working with NTSA, sharing resources, it was easy to have vehicles for monitoring and so forth. That working relationship needs to be restored. We are also in this modernization program going to get some vehicles for the traffic department so that they can, you rarely see now there's a car manning the roads and checking what's happening. There is also engineering part. You know, the roundabout here in Kisumu had to be redesigned it's being redesigned after the accident. And many of the accidents, a number of places are causing accident because of design. That is why the president has invested money also in dealing with Nithi Bridge and many other places. Kenya is trying to reassess the various roads to see the engineering, whether it is the reason why they're causing accidents, especially in the hotspots. You saw what was done in Salga, with something else also was done at Ngata. And so there is a lot of change. The road is also being dualed from Nairobi to Rironi, from Rironi to Mau Summit, and would eventually to be dualed all the way to Busia and to Malaba. So it is, some of those dualing the road will also reduce road accidents, because when the roads have been dualed and they have put cameras, I think we will be able to resolve most of these issues that we are dealing with. So road traffic accident is a serious issue. And also we want to deal with corruption in the traffic sector by making sure that using technology can create more transparency. And then later we must use body cameras that will monitor the police officers functioning, how they interact with the citizens. Body cameras in the long run. I'm not saying it's immediate, but in the long run, will help us resolve those issues. Thank you.
Well, you have a question? Just one, please.
Okay, aside from the lake boundary, I wanted to talk about the border issue, the land border, especially the border issue along Kisumu-Kericho boundary, which is Sondu, which has continued to fuel insecurity around that place. So my question is, what is being done to align administrative units and to ensure chiefs on both sides work together effectively? And even if that is done, do you think that that will bring the end to that problem? Can the government just send some special unit or administrative unit to come down and check on the issue? If it's the issue of the boundary, they should just demarcate and indicate that Sondu belongs to Kericho County or to Kisumu County, so that the residents living around that place live in peace and to end that dispute once and for all.
We had a discussion today with Professor Nyang'yo, my friend and my former colleague in the Senate. And I asked him a very straight question. Why are the people of Kericho and Sondu fighting over administrative boundaries? What do they gain? if I am Kipsigis and the boundaries show that I live in Kisumu, what is the problem? I live in Kisumu County. I have my title. I'm a citizen in Kisumu County. If I am a Luo and I find myself, my title reads Kericho County and the boundary leaves me to Kericho County, what is the problem? Why would I fight my neighbor? And if I am unhappy with these boundaries, what does my neighbor have to do with it? You know, in any case, there are Kalenjins who live here in town, and there are Luos who live in Kericho town. Why would it be an issue around Sondu that you are fighting over a boundary? There must be deeper issues. And for me, there must be a mindset that says, if the boundary goes, if Sondu belongs to, if the whole town belongs to Kisumu, or the whole town belongs to Kericho, then we can chase people. But how will you chase me from my, how will you chase me from my land? You know, well, this is my land. It doesn't matter whether it is. So the people who should have been fighting is Governor Mutai and Professor Anyang' Nyong'o. And what would they be fighting for? They should be fighting for taxes. That is the only fight. You will say, no, I'm the one to collect. This one says, in fact, all businessmen in Sondu town should be the one saying, no, no, no. You guys go and sort your problem before we get to know who is coming to collect taxes in this area. But the citizens shouldn't be fighting. And NCIC has been doing a good job there. Commissioner Okundi is here. They even had a plan to go and put a peace monument. Yes, thank you very much, engineer. They had a plan to go and put a peace monument there, and then there was a lot of political activity in Kericho. Now that the political activity will subside, we will call for a barasa and go there together. We'll have a meeting with the citizens. I am very happy with the Jukwala Usalama of Kisumu. The citizens of Kisumu, including chiefs, were requesting us to operationalize the administrative units on the side of Kericho so that they can have equivalent number of the chiefs like it is in the Kisumu, so that they can have better conversation. And that's the same request. You can see these are people who care for each other. That's the same request I got when we were in Kericho. So these issues are manageable. And also we need to push our people to go to school, to become busy. Some of these, when people are jobless, idle, you know, the ideas of, can I get somebody's land or can I fight my neighbor comes in. Some of the issues also lead to stealing of livestock and so forth, but the police are working on operation to deal with those issues. So I see the chairman of NCIC is here, and we appreciate Reverend Kobia and the team who are here, and the vice chair and the members who are here. So I think to be very fair, it is something solvable. Lastly, boundary is not a problem of Kericho and Bomet, Kericho and, Kericho and Kisumu, Kisumu and Nandi, Kisumu and Vika. It's all over. I don't remember a county where we did not pass through and people have an issue with a boundary somewhere. And I think eventually the real coordinates should be marked on the ground maybe. But it's a shame that we are one country and we want to really put markers in our own country. It should be general. It should be just that the counties know generally this is where we live. There is nothing really we are fighting over. We are not another country vis-a-vis another country. But if it gives us peace, for example, Machakos and Makueni are fighting over boundary. So if it promotes peace, perhaps, and that's one community. People speak one language, one community. So perhaps we just need to mark it for purpose of tax collection and many other issues that we are dealing with. Asante sana.
Well, Waziri, as we near, we draw towards the end of this conversation, there is a question from a viewer from Kuria, that is in Migori County, an area called Ongata Barakoi. Yes, it says that residents continue to report cases of cattle rustling and killings, especially along border areas in that county. He's asking, why has it been so difficult to eradicate such crime? And also the issue of smuggling and border insecurity remain a key challenge especially in Sirare border? What new measures are being implemented to secure the border?
We agreed in Jukwaa la Usalama in Migori on a few things. One, there's an operation that's going to be done to get rid of guns that are in civilian hands in both Narok and Migori counties. Two, we are going to increase the border patrol units that are going to help us deal with porous borders. And three, we are going to return the formed up units that were stationed in between the two counties. And finally, I'm going to have Jukwaa la Usalama Mashinani within the border, Baraza with the citizens to see what else we are going to do to make sure that they live together in peace.
Well, I believe there's no more question from the panel, and just one more, please, from the audience. I request that you shoot your question so directly and make it so brief because time is a factor.
Asante sana Bwana Waziri. Mimi naitwa Oliver Ochieng kutoka Jabali. Swali langu ni kuhusu operesheni ya usalama katika nchi ya Haiti. Ningependa kujua kama serikali, je, mnapokea ripoti zote kuhusu utendakazi wa polisi kule Haiti, na vipi hali ya maafisa wetu wa polisi walioko Haiti tangu walipoenda mwaka jana? Kisha swali la pili ambalo tutakuwa la mwisho ni kuhusu baada ya mchakato huu wote umetembea kaunti hii ya 42 na kuna kaunti kama 5 zimesalia. Swali ni je, nini kitafuata? Je, tutaona mwamko mpya katika masuala ya usalama humu nchini, ama itakuwa kwamba tumetembea, tumezungumza, kisha kuna hatua ambayo inachukuliwa? Asante.
Nadhani kwamba kwanza ningewacha nijibu ya pili. Jukwaa la usalama sio kutembea na kuongea, ni kutembea na kutenda. Umeona kwamba katika mikutano yenyewe tunasuluhisha mambo papo hapo. Saa zingine IG akiwa pale ama DIG wanabadilisha network ya polisi. Umesikia nimetangaza sehemu 3: Mangeti, Ringiti na Sori, ambayo tutakuwa na formed up units. Umeona kwamba tulitoka Kakamega juzi, operation inaendelea pale. Huko tumekuambia kwamba bunduki 120 na kitu zimeletwa leo kutoka tu hapo Kerio Valley. Kitu unprecedented, kitu ya kwanza tangu ifanyike. So yale tuna usione kwamba tukiwa hapa ni tofauti na kuwa ofisi. Tumeleta ofisi hapa, so tumekuja tu kufanya kazi. Tofauti ni kwamba tumefanya kazi kwa mashinani, pahali ambapo tutaelewana na wale ambao wanafanya kazi mashinani, na tunawapatia nafasi wachangie katika kusuluhisha shida ambazo wanapitia. Unajua kwamba tangu tuanze Jukwaa, askari wetu wameanza kwenda training. Kulikuwa na conference ya OCSs, chief sasa wanaenda training. Chiefs 8,200 watamaliza training mwisho wa mwaka huu. ACCs walienda training wakamaliza, na training is an important part of improving service delivery. So atungojei, hakuna kitu tunangoje. Tukishafika kaunti yako imeisha, kazi iendelee, na tunataka kuona matunda. Na tunarudia kuuliza, tukisikia shida kwako tunapiga simu, tunasema si tulikuwa Jukwaa la Usalama jameni, si tulikubaliana tufanye namna hii? Kwa nini hiyo kitu imerudi tena? Ama wewe umelegea, na yale mahitaji yote yameulizwa. Pengine yenye nitangojea tu kidogo ni yale ambayo yanahitaji bajeti. Kuna mambo mengi tunaweza kutenda ya kutumikia wananchi yenye hitaji bajeti, lakini yale yanahitaji bajeti lazima tuende tutengeneze bajeti, tuwasilishe bungeni, alafu ijadiliwe na watupatie hela za kuweza kutimiza yale mahitaji ya wananchi. Kwa hivyo utaona mabadiliko kubwa sana katika Ziwa Victoria sababu ya Jukwaa la Usalama, na utaniambia wewe mwenyewe. Nikirudi hapa tutakuja kuingia ziwa na boat mpya, na tukirudi hapa tutakuja kufanya mkutano huko ndani na BMUs, so utaenda Usenge pale, utaona tukijenga port mpya na mambo mengine mengi ambayo yatatendeka katika sehemu hii, na ningependa kuhakikishia kwamba lazima tubadilishe sura ya usalama na mambo ya usalama katika taifa letu. Swali la kwanza ulikuwa umeuliza kuhusu Haiti. Watu wengi sana waliamini kwamba polisi wetu wakifika Haiti ati watarudi moja moja na body bags. Na SWA si watu wa Kenya peke yake, hata nchi zingine wenye walikuwa na wivu wanatuonea kwamba hatuna uwezo. Lakini askari wetu wametenda maajabu. Wamefanya kazi kubwa sana. Walipoenda Haiti, airport ilikuwa imefungwa. Sasa imefunguliwa, inafanya kazi. Kulikuwa kumechukuliwa communication system ya Haiti, sasa inafanya kazi. Shule za Haiti zilikuwa zimefungwa. Kwa mara ya kwanza walifanya mtihani ya sekondari kwa mara ya kwanza. Pale Haiti sasa sehemu nyingi viongozi wanaweza kutembea sehemu nyingi kufanya kazi ambao hawakuwa wanatoka hata kwa government square. Na kwa hivyo nchi yetu imefanya kazi kubwa sana. Na saa zingine tujiamini. Yale ambayo askari wetu wamefanya na ni 700 peke yake, hata hatukumalizia ile nambari ambayo ilifaa kuenda. Hawa askari wetu wamefanya mambo ambayo watu wengi sana hawakutarajia, hata dunia imeshangaa. Na kwa hivyo mjadala mkubwa utakuwepo pale UN wiki ujao, wakati rais atakuwa pale, na watu wengi watataka kusikia progress yenye tumefanya, na mtaona pia nafasi ikitokea tutapeleka some of you or your friends waende waone kazi gani wenzenu wanafanya huko. Kwa bahati mbaya tumepoteza askari 3 na hiyo ni bahati mbaya. Moja ilikuwa ni accident na hiyo ingine ilikuwa kwa sababu ya hao. Lakini saa hizi barbecue, ule mtu anaitwa barbecue anajificha hapo msituni huko, ametoroka. Saa hizi mliona ikiripotiwa kwa news akisema ningependa tuongee. Kama tungeweza, kama UN kwa sababu review inaendelea, kama wataweza kukubaliana ikuwe UN mission na nchi zingine sijitokee, utapata gangs wakitoa mabunduki na kusurrender na hiyo nchi itaweza kusonga mbele. So inategemea uongozi wa UN. Shida yenye saa zingine unapitia kwa kazi kama haya ni kama dunia mzima isipokuja pamoja, kwa sababu watu wengi they have given up, walikuwa wamewachana kusahau mambo ya Haiti. That's why ukiuliza utendeni wanasema we are busy, we have many other issues. I am very happy that our police officers na nchi yetu na rais wetu na nchi yetu has done something that has never been done anywhere. Na kuna watu wanasema kwa nini waende huko, sisi tunahitaji hapa, polisi hawatoshi kwa station nini. You don't give out of abundance. You know, you share what you have even when you have less. But number 2, most importantly, the experience those officers will have gotten, when they come back, it can only benefit the people of Kenya. It has also amplified our capabilities as Kenya in diplomatic missions. Other countries are sending people all the time to different places in peace missions. For us, this was a great opportunity to demonstrate our capacity and ability to support humanity all over the world. Thank you.
All right, Waziri, it would be our wish to continue this conversation even longer, but you know, this Jukwaa la Usalama is not a one-off event. You will continue to traverse the country as part of this initiative. Even as we close for us this engagement, you may want to make it clear that this Jukwaa la Usalama is not a one-off event. Yet you mentioned in Homa Bay that it will be decentralized. Yes, you may want to expound on that. And also, as you leave Kisumu, we know you will come back over and over again being the CS for Interior. How do you like us, or rather the country, to remember your tenure as the Cabinet Secretary for Interior when the tenure ends?
That's a difficult question. But the first part of the question is our intention in Jukwaa la Usalama is not to personalize it to the Cabinet Secretary. It's to become a government policy that will transcend our presence in this ministry. It should be a form. It should be the way security is being managed. And how is that going to be? We will make sure that we support our sub-county security teams and the divisional security team to hold, at least even if it's quarterly, a review meeting at the local level. I have told also the OCSs that it should be a practice. Just the way schools start with a parade on Monday or something, they should have their meetings, really formal meetings to review how they're performing in their division once in a while, maybe after 2 weeks or so. The thing is, you can also manage people in a police station and you have no conversation. This kind of conversation, the involvement of Mama Mboka, border, Matatu people, and so forth, in security meetings is going to help our security situation get better, so that Nyumba Kumi and community policing does not become something removed at a corner. You see, there is a department in the ministry that's called community policing. It should not be a department. Community policing should be the day-to-day responsibility of police officer, so that all police officers should be involved in community policing. I don't know if you understand me. If you are an OCS in a place, you know that when I arrive, I ask, who are the stakeholders in this area supported by the community to work with my police station for security purposes? It should not be like there is a committee that's called the Security Policing Committee, and it is removed from the day-to-day work of a police officer. The day-to-day work of the OCS should include community policing. You've asked me how you want to be remembered. First of all, when you're a cabinet secretary, you don't have, and particularly a cabinet secretary for interior, you don't have your own policy, and you have your own government. Everything you do under the leadership and the direction of the president. And so, my first objective is to make sure that the bottom-up economic transformation model and the bottom-up governance of the security sector is institutionalized. It's institutionalized. It's not personalized. It's institutionalized. So that it's not about me. It's about the security managers, about the people. And number two, I like to invest more in teamwork. I will be here for a defined period of time, but there is a police officer, constable, will be recruited in 2 weeks, who will perhaps, God willing, serve Kenya for another 30 years. So it is my desire that once we institutionalize governance, I would like to be remembered as a person who worked with others as a team, build a team, and made others shine, helped others to shine in what they do, so that it's not about me, it's about the team. And as much as possible, I want to, when I exit, the people of Kenya will appreciate security is not a secret, private thing. Security is me and you, and that it is easy to manage security when everybody is involved. To demystify this idea that there is a tower up there where there is a big man called a minister and there is a small person called a constable. That everyone, a chief, a constable, and the cabinet secretary are only team members playing different roles to ensure that our country is safe. I am so happy. I don't know even how I can express this. I'm extremely happy when I see what's happening in my county, in Kerio Valley. I am overwhelmed. I mean, I never thought I would live to see very, very hardcore criminals walk to a police station and hand over their guns. I mean, I used to dream that I hope one day it will happen. But I never thought it would be this fast, and I never thought it would happen in the manner in which that has happened. I am pleasantly surprised. And therefore, it means that it can be done with a little effort, with a little teamwork. The things I've seen in Kerio Valley is absolutely miraculous, but it's the fruits of teamwork rather than, teamwork. I mean, citizens now are walking around telling anybody, wewe kwa nini hujapeleka hii bunduki yako? Wewe, because they have now confidence that the government can deliver. And therefore, and for the period of time that I serve under His Excellency the President, it's my duty to help him achieve his vision in the security sector. Thank you very much.
It's really difficult to ask a question when you've all actually outlined your vision for the period of time that you're going to be in this docket. But I'm told in the audience there is just one burning question from Rolex Omondi. How burning is it? And can you just shoot it really fast so that we end this with the Waziri's closing remarks? Rolex, let's have the question, please. I will.
How many fishermen are being held in our neighboring countries, more so in Uganda, especially due to illegal fishing? And then my second question is that early this year, the Nyakach sub-county officer, I think a sub-county commander, issued a list of about some real and perceived cattle theft rustlers. How many were presented in court, arraigned in court? How many were released in that? And then the last one, you have had challenges of illegal guns in the country, and I would like to commend you for having seen to it that around 120 were recovered in KU. Now, what are some of the challenges that you're facing in dealing with the illegal possession of firearms in the country?
And Waziri, as you respond to those questions, probably you can also summarize with your closing remarks so that by the time you're done, we just end it.
I think on the specifics of how many fishermen being held, how many people have been arrested, I don't have the numbers. And it would be impossible as a cabinet secretary to have every number of people arrested without first consulting. So the best thing would be that maybe through our social media page is to respond to your specific question on the numbers of the people arrested, released, charged, and convicted, and so forth. I know there's some also Ugandan officers who were arrested in Kenyan side of, around Busia, and they were handed over back to Uganda for charging. Some of the arrests that are happening in the lake, I know that it is illegal. It is some kind of kangaroo court where fishermen are arrested and then they asked for bribes. It's not actually official fines. And that's why we are saying we must have proper official presence in the lake and also liaison officer to solve those issues that are happening in the lake. The rest of the people who are being arrested about cattle theft in Kenya are so many. If I was to carry in my head, it would be very difficult. But specifically around Nyakach and Sondu, perhaps it may be necessary to consult before answering. On the issue of recovery of illegal firearms, the biggest challenge has always been a cooperation between among the officers and the community. What we have seen so far happening in Kerio Valley is amazing cooperation between the public and the police, but it didn't just happen. It was after the police had persistent operations to try and get the ringleaders of these gangs. And this is just by the beginning. It will continue and continue. Our determination is that in 3 years, we should have cleared a big chunk of the region from these bandits. The reason why in the past there was no cooperation is because operations used to happen for 1 week and the police ran away. 2 weeks. But this has been sustained operation, sustained, and we intend to sustain it for the next 3 years. We have even better strategy to invest in more equipment and resources so that people can live in peace. I'm very happy to see people are back to their farms, people are back to school, back to many other places, and I really, really, really want to see the success of the dream of the president when he said, "Mambo ni matatu." Though it looks like it was a joke then. You remember the Mambo ni Matatu started with, it was actually bandits and sugar. and sugar is progressing well. So, and bandits also are now surrendering their guns. So you can see the president is keeping his promise to the people of Kenya. And it is our duty as in the various departments to help him make sure that this is actualized. Of course, going forward, there are challenges like terrain, road success, network, which we are working on. And the National Security Council a week ago, or 2 weeks ago, agreed to push for certain budget, directed Treasury to put aside certain resources for access, roads, and so forth for security operation. As it can be done, and I'm confident now. The example we are seeing now tells us it has just always been the commitment on the government side and the confidence of the public to report these cases of criminals. I don't have any further closing remarks rather than just to thank all of you for your robust questions. It's been a fantastic time in Nyanza region, and tomorrow we are closing in Nyamira. We look forward to interacting with the leaders in Nyamira and the members of the public. I look forward to coming back here as we inspect the things that I have promised that will be done, and coming back here to engage the citizens on various issues and to look at the progress. And I hope by the time I come here, we will have made very good progress in dealing with gangs, and that our youth will have been moved to do alternative jobs. I want to thank the people we work in the ministry with, they didn't have to be here with me, but they're here. There's DIG Masengeli, our PAS Opora, our regional commissioner, our regional police commander, and regional security team, all of them, they're here. Our commission of NCIC, led by the chairman, the vice chair, and Mheshimiwa Mukundi, who comes from this county also. And then we have various, we have the CEO of NACADA, a very fine gentleman, just like sitting back and listening, but he's doing a good job in a multi-agency level. So we thank you, everybody, for being here, sacrificing your time to be with us, and for the media for giving us an opportunity to engage, especially the local media that broadcasts locally here. And of course, those of you are also representing media houses that are operating nationally. Asanteni sana, erokamana.